We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast, episode number 85. I don't believe it.
Welcome to the We Make Movies podcast, making the world a better place, one film at a time. And now, here are your hosts, two aspiring filmmakers, or as they're otherwise known, waiters, Garrett and Chad.
And Michelle.
Yeah, that's the old intro. Sorry about that. Hello and welcome to the We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast. The podcast is all about how to get your movie made, how to get it seen by other people, and how to get it awesome. I'm your host, Garrett Robinson. With me, as always, faithful co-hosts, Chad Kukahiko and Michelle Lucadou. We are all of us independent filmmakers and members of the We Make Movies filmmaking community in Los Angeles. How's it going, guys?
It's okay.
It was good until it was all left out. It's very sad. It's not a beer. Cream soda.
We're really early today, and yet late because of me. Fantastic. Doing an early show this morning because we've got so much. Because why, Chad? We got stuff going on with the fest?
Well, WMM Fest, it has a 6 o'clock show tonight, and also one of our old school We Make Movies members has a 1:30 screening of his feature film, Aram at the LA Film Fest. So I'll be attending that. So it's a full day. Got to do this early if we do it at all today. So
it's almost like we're making movies.
It almost is.
Yeah.
I'm
We're getting in festivals.
Too, because it's Chris Chambers is the guy. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you've seen him around. He's like old school, but he comes around a lot. Really nice guy, and he did this feature film. He's used some people. I'm not sure who he's used. I know he's reached out to me to find on occasion like a sound guy or this guy or that. So he's used some of our people here and there. I believe he wrote, directed, and produced this feature film. I'm kind of excited to see it.
Super awesome. That's great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, let's get right into the segment since, like I said, I was late this morning. I'm sick. That's why. But tonight is the last episode of this season of Game of Thrones. Now, first of all, have to mention, if you didn't catch last week's episode, it had one moment that was absolutely horrible and heartbreaking. Every time I think that like Game of Thrones can't make me feel more sad and depressed and disgusted, they always up the ante. Like I thought the spoilers for season 3. I thought the Red Wedding would be like the ultimate. Can't take it anymore. That's the worst. Then when the finale of last season with the fight, the trial by combat, I thought that was actually worse and harder to watch. Well, they had something that was
Red Wedding.
Yes.
Get out of here.
Did you watch both scenes?
Yeah, I'm with Chad on this. Red Wedding was way worse.
Really, in terms of like watching it.
Well, you're talking about. Hold on. I'm talking about the end of last season. I'm talking about what you said. Like
the trial by combat.
Yeah, trial by combat was no way worse than the Red Wedding. I mean, just
when you say worse, I'm talking about like the Red Wedding never made me physically convulse on my couch and like almost vomit.
Mind you, I've never seen the Red Wedding. I've read the Red Wedding many times.
Well, then that's what I'm talking about.
It is unbelievably awful.
No,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
Saw both,
the trial by combat
in terms. I saw both, and I'm going to say Red Wedding was way worse.
Yeah, but was it difficult for you to watch, or was it emotionally scarring? Or okay.
There's so many amazing people
dying.
No,
like,
right.
Like all of the Starks are like crawling around underneath the table,
so that's
dying.
what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the trial by combat. The ending of the trial by combat almost made me vomit. Actually,
even though you knew it was going to end that way.
Yeah, I'm not talking about how sad I was. I'm talking about. You watch his fucking head explode. That doesn't happen in the Red Wedding.
You know what, though? I'll be honest. I've been watching this season. I am not emotionally attached to this show at all. I'll be honest, because the show, it's like.
Oh, it's almost like you haven't watched several seasons in between.
No, it's almost like it's not as good as the books. That's why. It's almost like that's not bad. You know,
It's almost like you are coming in like after having missed it for several years.
I tried watching it. It's not that I didn't try. I tried watching the first season. And it was just like in my opinion, a little bit of a weak sort of.
We shouldn't, Chad. You know we shouldn't talk about this.
We probably shouldn't. But the point is that Go ahead. It's your segment. I probably shouldn't.
It is my segment. It's funny how much you guys are interrupting me on my segment. It's pretty hilarious. Anyway,
it's a little bit of a ridiculous statement is all. Both Michelle and I agree on that.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I always forget that subjective statements about my opinion and my own personal visceral reaction to experiencing something are ridiculous. I always
as long as you remember.
That's always a thing that happens on segments regarding Game of Thrones. My own personal opinions are ridiculous.
Well, now that you remember, I'm
on
sure.
The subjective quality of things. I have to keep that in mind from now on.
Anyway. Objectively, like, okay, go ahead. Finish.
Objectively, and that's the thing. Objectively, I know that the Red Wedding was way worse. But subjectively, the Red Wedding didn't make me puke. Watching Oberyn Martell's head explode almost made me vomit. Actual vomit. I gagged, okay?
Season 4 spoiler already finished.
Yeah, well, I think we've definitely, that boat has sailed right now. I talked about his head exploding. Last week's episode had a moment that I actually had to turn the show off. First time in history I had to turn the show off.
Wow.
What?
Did you not see it yet, Michelle?
I did see it.
I've already seen it, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I'm a father, so there you go. As a father, I could not watch that. I absolutely could not. It made me. Yeah,
I will say though that is probably one of the most, or maybe the most expensive episode that they have had, like in a very
more expensive than the prior episode with that massive zombie fight.
Yeah, well, because a lot of the zombies you can CGI, but like, I mean, I don't know.
CGI is not cheap. It's not.
I know, but like a lot of, I mean, talk about extras in the fight, and then also like extras plus a freaking dragon on screen for like 15 minutes.
That's one thing, by the way, that makes absolutely no sense to me, is how those guys have so many people that are so willing to die. It makes no sense. And in the books, it's not like that at all. And they haven't really made much sense of it in the show, and it drives me a little bit nuts.
Yeah, well.
So let's let Garrett, you've muted yourself, so nobody can hear you.
I got to say about 2 sentences of my segment, but we've already used up all the rest of my time on you guys. So why don't you just carry right along?
Don't say ridiculous things next time.
I'm so sorry that my opinion is ridiculous to you. Well, I enjoyed this very, very much. Well, that's a ridiculous statement. Okay.
No, that wasn't the part. The part where you said it in a much more sort of empirical way.
I said that for me, the season 4 finale was worse than the Red Wedding for me.
Cousin Garrett.
Wow, everyone's turning you down right now.
Garrett just had a stroke. Okay, well, moving on to something else. It is actually really interesting to me. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Jurassic World is apparently destroying the box office.
Jurassic World is exploding on Tumblr right now. It is so huge.
Crazy.
It's unbelievable. It's all over the place.
But it only has 70% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's what's insane.
Well, I think that's a ridiculous statement.
That is a fact. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't. As of last night, it was. Oh yeah, still 70%. So it's 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's destroying at the box office, and that's so bizarre to me. I mean, on the one hand, like you look at Mad Max, Fury Road. Yes, rated R, but it's 98%, and it's like total gross domestic box office to date, and it's already been out for, I don't know, a couple months or something like that, is not going to match, probably, we don't have the full numbers yet, but it's probably not going to match Jurassic World's first weekend. Mind you, that's first weekend, maybe worldwide. I don't know exactly where they're getting the 200 million or 160 million. They don't know how much it's going to end up yet, but that's what it's looking like. But, I mean, that's really, I don't know, it's so fascinating to me. It's like almost 30 points higher. The first film I've ever seen that's maintained a 98%. I mean, for as long as they have. And Mad Max, rated R, though, again, yes. So you got, but what's interesting is, I guess, so there's those 5 years between 18, or is it 17 that can go to rated R? I can't remember. Whatever that is.
17, yeah.
Jurassic World is PG-13, and who knew that those 5 years are worth hundreds of millions of dollars in the box office? That's crazy.
Well, I think the film studios knew.
Yeah, I guess they probably did, but, you know, I mean, you just can't do Mad Max rated PG-13. It's
no.
so...
No.
No.
But I have a different theory as far as that's concerned. Why Jurassic World is so much more popular. I think when you're doing a remake, you have to be very judicious about when you do the remake, because the farther apart they are, the more audience you lose. I mean, and it can't be too close because then people are like, they're already making a remake. But see, people my age went and saw Jurassic Park when it first came out and were kids and were like, yes, this is awesome, and like in fourth grade or something. And so now I'm like, I remember that, oh, yeah, that was really cool when I was a kid, and I can go see it, right, again. But Mad Max, I was too young. I don't even know if I was alive. I wasn't alive. But so I don't, yeah.
Okay, we can pretend.
Chad.
We can pretend.
IMDb age, Chad. Look at
You're only 22.
Anyway, so I do think that there is a perfect window, and that Jurassic World has hit the perfect window because they have the perfect amount of people at the right age to go see what they have nostalgia for from being a kid.
That might be a factor too, but you know what? I just actually checked the audience score, and the 70 to 98 is critic score, but actually the audience score is much closer. The audience gives Mad Max an even 90, and they give Jurassic World 86. So it's much closer. It's only 4 points away. Plus, you have those 5 years, and maybe there's an element of that as well. There was a massive gap between the Mad Maxes, without a doubt.
Yes, but I would say the type of people that go see Mad Max are the type of people that would go online and vote for the film. The type of people that are going to go to Jurassic World are going to go to Jurassic World and be like, yeah, that was a cool movie. Let's go get burgers.
Yeah. I mean, like, let's face it, the types of films that are made that to have more broad audience appeal are generally not critical darlings. They just aren't,
Yeah.
Well, so
let me just correct Michelle's last statement. Actually, 141,637 people have rated Jurassic World, and less than half of that have rated Mad Max.
Oh, okay. I am incorrect. Speaking of going to the theater to see films this year, I'm a big Tarantino geek. This year, Christmas comes early. With a special present for fans of 70 millimeter. The Weinstein Company just announced that Quentin Tarantino's newest flick, Hateful Eight, will be released on Christmas Day with 70 millimeter anamorphic presentation in 50 different cities. But not only that, it's been like there's 50 cities across the U.S. that'll be retrofitted with like 70 millimeter like projectors like in the theater. So you get like a whole 70 millimeter like experience. It's very exciting. It's not. I don't think this is confirmed yet, but people are saying that this will be the largest 70 millimeter release in over 20 years.
Wow.
So they haven't said which cities will be getting the projectors and like getting the, but I'm assuming LA.
I hope LA is on the
list. Anyway. It's interesting. My boyfriend's father is the mayor of Telluride. And
it's a boyfriend now. Yay, it's official. It is podcast official.
Podcast official. I don't know what the hell else to call it. Anyway, his dad's the mayor of Telluride, so I met his dad, and he had all of these stories about Mr. Tarantino coming into the city and like walking around and being like, yeah, this is a great city, and like, and the crew and having everybody in the city for so long shooting the film. Apparently they were all very respectful and very sweet, and there wasn't enough snow, so they have this, I don't know, this ski ritual where they like shove skis in a fire or something like that. I don't really know, something they do in Telluride to get snow. So Quentin Tarantino like came to the festival and like was like, shoving skis in the fire to get snow for the film. It was cool. It was cool to hear stories, and it was also really nice to hear that he wasn't a dick. So
yeah, I see him now and then because he goes to the ArcLight Hollywood, and he clearly loves the ArcLight Hollywood. I do too, and And he seems like a nice guy. It seems like he's very thankful to the. They'll usually, whenever I've seen him come into the theater, it's been a while though. He'll come in like as the lights are coming down, after the people are coming in, and then he's just apparently really. Then he's brought in directly to his seat, and then last time I saw him, he was very like nice to the person. He was like, "Thank you." He seems like a really cool guy.
Cool.
Yeah, when I work with him, I'll let you know.
We've been talking about that film too for a while. Hateful Eight has been something that's definitely been on the Film Geeks radar for quite a while. So I know that Garrett and I will be really excited to see it as well.
Yeah, there's if you look at one of our past episodes where we talked about it, there's screenshots there and actor portraits and everything like that. So go ahead and check that out. In other news, in related Western film news, well, kind of Western film news, the director of Birdman, Alejandro González Iñárritu, is directing a new film starring Leonardo DiCaprio called Revenant. And the film shoot in Canada, just principal photography. Get this, 9 months. Because they can only shoot, they're shooting in these unbelievably remote locations with really weird light and like no electricity, and they can only shoot a few hours every day. So they're paying for like 9 months of Leonardo DiCaprio's time, or have already.
Why can they only shoot for a few hours a day?
Because when you don't have any electricity and you have no infrastructure for miles around you, you can imagine that it would take you quite a lot longer to set up a shot. Like when the actors are sleeping in actual beds in a hotel, but then every day you're driving 3 hours out into the middle of nowhere. Like that's half your shoot day.
Jesus.
Yeah. So
which is awesome, because if you're an actor on that's not Leo DiCaprio, like you're getting your day rate times however many days. Yeah.
I wonder how big the cast is though.
This is a big outdoor epic. Well, for a large part of the movie, it's apparently just going to be Leonardo DiCaprio. This is an outdoor epic about a guy who gets mauled by a grizzly bear while traveling out with some friends. They abandon him to his death, and he fights his way across the wilderness to get home and take revenge on them.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So
I like it already.
Large section of the movie is just going to be Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh damn.
Meanwhile, on a related note, this year, the South Dakota town where all of this actually happened and this guy is from, they're holding like a whole big festival convention this year about this guy and his story, because they're trying to cash in on tourism dollars, which I'm just sort of like, that's the story I want to bring in tourism to my town. Surviving a grizzly bear mauling and coming home to kill the people you were with.
Wait, was it like Old West, or was it something that was more modern?
It was pretty old, like flintlock rifle, pretty old.
Oh wow, cool!
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I definitely want to check it out. I still haven't seen Birdman, but of course, everybody says it's amazing.
It was my favorite film of.
And I respect their opinions on that. If they say that they enjoyed it, I'm totally fine with that. I just let the conversation continue. I don't have to tell them that their opinion is ridiculous. I'm secure in my own opinion.
Sometimes, in our defense, sometimes you do state your opinion as if it's fact. Sometimes you state it with a sort of empirical truth that this is the fact. So anyway,
the fact is that's my opinion.
We're passionate about these subjects. I mean, we could just be like, whatever, Garrett, I don't care. I mean,
that's very true. And then I could have, the actual point of that whole segment actually never got stated because it was after the first two sentences.
Would you like to state it? Because I am excited about it.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Just carry on. Chad, I think you're up next.
Okay. I went back to look and see if there really was a point that we missed, and I'm not seeing
there
it,
is.
so,
There's a huge point.
Yeah.
Why don't you state it? Just say it. Instead
a video has leaked online revealing that a character who we have not seen since season 1 of the show is returning in tonight's episode. Ooh. And it's pretty big. It hasn't happened in the books, so it's one of those things that's brand new for watchers and readers. So pretty exciting. I don't want to spoil it.
That's why don't spoil it. That's why I'm watching this season, is because they keep doing things that are beyond the books. Yeah. Like Tyrion and I probably shouldn't say in case people haven't seen season 5.
Don't.
I won't say.
Yeah, but Tyrion's storyline.
Tyrion's storyline has gone beyond the books. Maybe it has. That's the thing, I can't tell because there's so many missing characters.
No, it definitely has.
Like the Greyjoy brothers. Like, where the crap are they? They're like not even in this at all. And so clearly they don't matter that much. The Golden Company, we already talked about this last week, didn't we? Anyway. Yeah. So yet another remake is coming, and this time it is going straight to VOD. This remake is Kindergarten Cop. I know Michelle's way too young to remember when the original Kindergarten Cop was on, but it was an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. There's like, I don't know if you've ever heard him say, "It's not the tumor." That's what it's from. It's from Kindergarten Cop. It's not the tumor. It's a similar.
Who's your daddy, and what does he do?
It's a similar premise to the original, apparently. They have not cast the Arnold Schwarzenegger part yet. It's not going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger unless it was like, instead of kindergarten, it was like, I don't know, rest home cop. That's I actually can't really admit to have ever seen Kindergarten Cop. I've never actually seen it. I've only seen clips from it and stuff. So I can't tell exactly what the differences will be, but apparently this Kindergarten Cop has an Indian sidekick named Sanjeet, and he's fighting Albanians. And the premise is basically that he and Sanjeet have on the trail of this missing flash drive from the Federal Witness Protection Program, and somehow it ends up in a kindergarten class, and so he has to pretend like he's the teacher while he looks for the thing. It's it'll be lots of fun, oodles of fun, I'm sure. But it's interesting that this is they're planning to take this directly VOD, and it's from Universal's 1440 division, and that's apparently what they do, is they take like kind of older, they remake older movies and bring them right directly out to VOD, and I've not really heard of this myself at all, but apparently they've already been doing that. Have you guys seen like Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig's Lifetime movie, which is a little interesting?
Yes, the knocked up one.
Have you seen it?
No.
Yeah, but you've heard of it.
Oh, I've seen the posters, and I look at it and I'm like, it's Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig, and they look like they're being serious, and I don't know whether it's supposed to be funny or not. Like the advertising is makes me very curious. But just a little, note to those of you out there after Chad's segment, if you thought that we don't report on the film news that is not cool, you have now been proven wrong. We all film all the time. I mean, we get to the corners of the film world. Kindergarten Cop.
The very tiniest little stories that nobody else will cover. We have the bravery.
Speaking of brave film,
Michelle, you really cannot mock me for doing trivial pieces. I recall a segment on book trailers.
Oh, please. That is not trivial. That is the future.
Kindergarten Cop is less,
not the future.
Is less relevant than that.
Let's get on that. Let's get on to Michelle's segment, shall we?
Anyway, so, okay, many of filmmaking's greatest technical innovations were ushered into existence thanks, in no small part, to the porn industry. Now, pornographers are like taking their cameras and their foofies and their to the final frontier.
Their foofies?
Yes.
Is that what we're calling? Well, which genitalia is the foofy?
I think I know.
It's female.
That's what I thought. Ding! That's what I thought.
Well, then what's the male?
Nonies.
Nonies.
Now that makes no sense.
Boto?
Boto is, I don't know what language that is, but that's what they call it in Hawaiian,
It's
just in Hawaii rather.
Nice.
Anyway,
you have a knack of mocking pieces and then jumping into pieces that are not that much better. You have a knack.
I'm not even there yet. We're just okay. So, not a joke. The people from Pornhub, one of the this is one of the biggest websites on for porn. They are they're crowdfunding a project to send 2 porn stars and a video crew into orbit to shoot the world's very first space porno.
And they're crowdfunding it.
And they're crowdfunding it. Fittingly, the project is called Sexploration.
Oh
yes,
my
it has
God.
a trailer, and you can watch the trailer because the trailer does not have any foofies or nonies. But they're asking for, I think, something like 3.4 million, which, like, in the grand scheme of film is pretty cheap. But then they don't really have to pay for wardrobe. But I mean, but if they're going to be in space, then, like, I don't know. So I mean, so here's the thing. Like, yes, it's porn, but yes, it's crowdfunding. But does this mean that we're going to be shooting stuff in space now? Like, can you guys imagine, like, Gravity 2, like, on location? You know what I mean? Like, how cool is that? Yeah. Apparently, I did a little research. There was one short film that an astronaut shot, a short film in 2008 while on a mission. But other than that, I mean...
For a 48-hour film festival? That would have been hilarious.
Yes.
It's like, how no one else can compete. No one else is in space, damn it. Who do you have picking up as pulling the genre out of the hat, though? I'm curious.
Yeah.
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 I don't think this is a precursor to shooting. This is a publicity stunt, I think. Just like Google Glass, just like they made a bunch of porn with Google Glass when it first came out, but we haven't seen people making movies on Google Glass, and I don't think that we're going to. You know what I mean? It's a publicity stunt.
Well, and also it's not. Yes, porn has pushed the technological advancements in every single field, but they have not been the innovators of those advancements. They have just chosen. They're the ones who've chosen. The innovations have been created by other people. So I would never look to the porn industry as a place where the actual innovation is happening. They just, when it comes down to VHS versus Betamax, well, that's where porn comes in. They chose VHS. When it comes to Blu-ray versus HD DVD, etc.
Right.
They do tend to be a trend. Not that I know a lot about porn, but
boy, I do.
Tend to be. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Chad, that they aren't the innovators, but they are. They do translate the innovations to the masses.
Yes.
It is how people get to know it and how it gets to Joe Schmo.
My point is I don't know if this is analogous because I agree with, on the one hand, I agree with Garrett. I do think it's a publicity stunt. It's not like a technological advancement. On the other hand, I actually do think that as soon as people are in space a lot, then people are going to be making movies in space a lot.
Right.
Just like they are, people make movies where they are.
Right.
And where they can get. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Getting into the main topics today, I will launch right into mine. Have you guys heard about Rachel Dolezal?
Oh, yeah. How can you not?
Well,
how can you not?
I actually hadn't. I'm spending precious little time on the internet these days, and it looks like Michelle hasn't. But a quick recap. She is a woman from Spokane, Washington, where she's the head of the NAACP chapter up there and a civil rights activist and so on and so forth. Only one problem. She's not actually black. For years, she's been...
That's not my mind. You just for the record, I'll let you get back into it, but I'm going to pull a Kanye here. Lots of people who run different chapters of NAACP are not actually black.
Which is what I was going to say in my very next sentence, if you had looked at the segment. What is it with you today, Chad?
No, you said there's only
the segment.
No, you said the problem is that she's not black. Not that she's...
Literally, the next words out of my mouth, which you talked over, were, by which I mean...
No, but this is something... This is not my issue with just you. This is my issue with a lot of the news that's out there. I'm a news junkie, and I've been watching this story since it hit. And... people are like, who the hell is she to be running the NAACP? She's not black. That's BS. The problem is she's claiming to be black. And
which is exactly what I said in my segment, Chad. Can I just have my time, please? Can I just tell the story?
That's fine,
and then if I tell the story and I tell it wrong, then you can say, yeah, can I just have it?
Dude, don't. You're getting all passive aggressive on the air.
I'm going to say the sentence over again, and you're going to tell me if it's a problem.
My point is valid. Your point is valid. They're both valid.
After I finish the sentence, then tell me if this is a problem. Okay? There's only one problem. She's not actually black, by which I mean it's not a requirement to be black to run a chapter of the NAACP, but it is a bit of a fucked up situation if you have been claiming to be black for years and you aren't, which is what Rachel has been doing. Does that make sense?
No need to be passive aggressive, dude. I mean, this is supposed to be a fun show.
It is a fun show.
I agree with you that the problem is that if she's running the NAACP claiming that she's half black and she's not, that's the issue. If she's running the NAACP and she's not black and that's a problem, that I have a problem with.
Okay, but that's not what I said, Jed.
It is what you said. I'm reading it here. It is what you said. Whatever. The point is that she's claiming to be half black. She's not black at all. And it is an interesting thing because it is causing a lot of because a lot of people are saying, okay, what is the difference between race and identity? And it's on the other hand, you got to think of it as like, okay, yes, she has no blood. She claims to be that, but does it really matter? You know what I'm saying? That's the question. Yes, it's fucked up if somebody claims to be something that they're not, but what happens with transgenders? You know what I mean? If they were born male and they identify as female, to me it's a similar thing. Now, I don't know enough about a lot of the specifics. I don't know a lot about her life. Apparently her family says she's always had issues with reality, like she's always just like kind of twisted things up, and that's its own thing for sure. But when it comes to the purposes of the NAACP, I think that it is something that is more widespread. If she has been claiming, as she clearly has, to be, she's been lying, and that's a shame. But if she identifies, and that's where it gets kind of funky, and that's where I think that the issue gets kind of interesting, is that I mean, who am I to say that somebody who was maybe born with a penis but identifies as a woman? Who am I to say that you're not a woman? Do you know what I mean? That's, I think, that's where this gets a little iffy, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. And we're not going to know exactly how this all kind of plays out until it plays out. But in a phenomenon that we've been talking about on the show since basically forever, people are already bidding to make movies about her story. And we have talked about this before. Chad, you've said that like at some point we're going to be making films about people's lives and significant events happening in history and society.
7-second delay.
Right, while they're actually occurring.
Right.
And this is the first time that I have questioned whether that's a good idea. I think it's going to happen regardless of whether it's a good idea or not. But we don't know how this is going to play out and what effect it's going to have on society. So making a film, and let's say that film were to get popular, which it very well could be since the story is happening right now, would the film affect the outcome? And should films like this try to reveal more about something that's already happened, or should they be being used to shape the events as they occur? For example, if the film came out and it demonized her, and it made that case for demonizing her in a very artistic way that played on the audience's emotions to demonize her when she really didn't deserve it. Or conversely, if what she's been doing has been pretty despicable, and the film played it the other way, and talked about her inspiration and her bravery and everything like that, it's a weird question. Like when we make movies about things that happened years ago, we've been able to see how those things have played out. But if a movie were made about her next month, that would not be the case. So,
and for the record, when I said that biopics are going to be on a 7-second delay from the, I mean, that is obviously a joke.
It's an exaggeration, right? But
there is an element of truth to it. I mean, when you see what's going on with, I can't remember her name, but the girl that's who killed her boyfriend, and then the trial was going on, and they were from set watching her trial. I mean, that is a little insane that it happened so quickly afterwards. But just one thing I want to say about the race thing: I'm not black, clearly.
Right.
So I don't claim, clearly, but I don't, so I obviously don't claim to have any kind of concept of what it is to identify and then have somebody come in who's not, blah, blah, blah. But I am a very light-skinned Hawaiian. A lot of people don't see me as Hawaiian at all, and regardless, I claim ownership, and I do a lot in that field, as you probably know if you've been watching the show for a bit, when I jump down Raman Bastani's throat. And and I do, like, I have to put myself into that position. How would I feel? And ironically, actually, that is something that I'm actually very familiar with. You see it all the time. And some of the most active people in the Hawaiian community do not have a drop of Hawaiian blood. And I appreciate the work that they do. And I, because to me, the work is what matters. You know what I mean? If somebody is stating lies that are affecting, the outcomes of the well-being of Hawaiian people, that's one thing. But if they identify with a group that they actually share no blood with, and then they're out there doing work for that group, I mean, why would I bitch about that? You know what I mean? Let them identify however they want. That's my point of view about it.
Yeah, I think that there is an issue in terms of, like, I think a lot of people are going to see this as like an attempt at cultural appropriation, which I can definitely understand that case. But again, you have to look at, like, okay, well, what has she actually done while she's been head of that chapter? And that's the thing where, like, I think that a film leaning in either direction could strongly shape opinion about her and what she's done, and what she's done in terms of, saying she was. The thing to me, the most important thing to me is it goes back to that whole, like, subjective thing. If she says, I identify as black even though I was born to 2 white parents, then that is a truth with with a subjective reality for that person, as opposed to, my father was black and here he is, and then it turns out he's completely not. So even if the way she feels is valid, she couched it in a lie.
That's
no,
100% agree. 100% agree. I mean, you do that, you end up you're shooting yourself in the foot, and you end up not helping the causes. It's just, why did you, that's silly that she did that, and it is counterproductive, and it makes the story about you instead of what it should be about. But if you're, I don't know. I just think if somebody is a little bit tweaked that way in their head anyway, what are they going to do? It's just anyway. I'm gonna move on though, if that's okay.
Let's do it.
Okay. So as we move more and more towards, like, a fully transmedia world, it's happening all the time. What? Hello?
Sorry, I was talking and I was on mute because I accidentally muted myself, and I was saying really smart things for a really long time, and I was like, why weren't they listening to me? Let me do the story of my life.
So smart.
But interestingly enough, like, and I think that the main issue, that just really quickly to weigh in, because I didn't get to say anything, or I did, but you didn't hear me. But the issue is the lying. The issue is obviously that she is saying she is something she isn't. But did you guys look at the pictures of her? Have you seen the photos of her in high school?
Yeah.
She looks like me.
She looks so white, Like
she's
totally.
So white. It's absolutely crazy. And
I didn't see high school. I did see pictures before she moved to Spokane or whatever. But yeah, she was.
Yeah. I mean, the whitest of the white. Like, she must have some serious tan in bed, like, going on.
I wish the issue was just that she lied. I don't think I'm hearing stuff out in the webosphere that is a little bit, in my opinion, racist, and where it's like, I think that whatever. First of all, reverse racism is not a thing. Reverse racism is racism. Racism against anybody because of their race is racism, and it can even be against your own kind. That's racism as well. So, but I think that I agree with you, but I wish that that's how everybody felt.
Yeah, well, I mean, and in this business too, it's interesting. I told you I met with a manager a few months ago that shall remain nameless, who the main reason this manager was not interested in signing me was because you're white. He's like, you're white. He's like, you're white. White is out. He's like, and you're like so white that you can't pretend to be something else. He's like, so I don't, white is totally not in fashion.
Well, unless you're Emma Thompson.
Right, there's like 5 white.
No, not Emma Thompson. Which is the Emma who was cast in
Watson Stone.
Stone.
Yeah,
Emma Stone, sorry.
Emma
Unless you're Emma Stone.
Emma Stone, Amanda Seyfried, Gwyneth Paltrow,
I
and
mean, that's just the whole Aloha
but
thing just drives me nuts. That drives me nuts.
yeah,
I mean,
she's not. Yeah,
there's no way she could be like a dye job somebody. You know what I mean? And plus, it
yeah,
would anyway. That's yeah. Anyway, I know we kind of sort of talked about that last week, but
yeah.
yeah.
Anyway.
So anyway, I'm going to jump back into mine if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Get it.
As we move more and more towards this sort of transmedia world, meaning that like where the TV, the stories, not just that there is a Spider-Man movie and a Spider-Man video game, blah blah blah. All these things have existed for honestly for decades. But what we're getting more and more into is a world where those stories are melding and they're mixing in a way that we've just never seen before. In a world like that, the danger of spoilers becomes kind of massive because not only, I mean, first of all, if you're making remakes, right? If you're remaking a comic book, well, all the people who've read that comic book now know the way that the movie's going to go, or the video game, or whatever your source material is. Everybody
Right.
who's familiar with that source material, you have that as kind of as spoilers for people who've never seen it. You know, Game of Thrones is at the top of that list, in my opinion. Well, even more than that, because cell phones are so ubiquitous, like you're getting video leaks from sets and photo leaks all the time. Like the fact that Batman is in Suicide Squad might have something, it might have been something that the filmmakers wanted to kind of keep a secret. But then when they put him on top of a moving car through kind of a major city wherever they were shooting, and people were taking, people who were not, you couldn't take their cell phones from them before they got there, are showing it and sending it out there. I mean, they might as well have just kind of set out a press release.
Right.
So in a world like that, where spoilers, I think it's really interesting because I personally am finding that there are these things, like I'm seeing so much about Civil War, Captain America Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, man, there's spoilers all over the place for all these different things, and the movie's like so far from coming out. You have to sort of develop your own particular wall, like spoiler wall, and it's something that's getting harder and harder to kind of erect and keep up, because as a fan, you actually do want to erect. You really want to stay up to date, but you don't want all these spoilers. And I think people are getting so much more loosey-goosey with the way we're using spoilers. I mean, us included, Game of Thrones. Of course, if you haven't been watching season 5 at this point, it's kind of your own damn fault. But I mean, we won't get into. Thankfully, I don't think we've given away any particular spoilers for season 5 at all. But season 3 and 4, I mean, Jesus, they've been out. Watch them, for Christ's sake. But I mean, I don't know. What are like some of the spoiler walls that you guys, and how effective have they been,
I think that in extreme cases, it's kind of the person's own responsibility to avoid spoilers. Like, if I don't want spoilers, it's my opinion. It's my responsibility to avoid them. That being said, you do have extreme cases where people like jump on and say, like somebody that you follow just goes, "Oh my God, I just filmed a scene where I died." But like people bring that up as an extreme case where they had something spoiled for them that they didn't want. But I'm like, when does that happen? What's an actual example of that occurring?
It is a little bit rare, but last night I was cruising some of these like comic book sites, and I was like, oh man, first Civil War, blah blah blah, and there's apparently they've already spoiled somebody who's gonna die in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And it's out there, and it's like, oh man, how am I going to last all these months? Because the movie doesn't come out till like next year sometime, right?
Right.
It's like, how am I not going to find out about that? It's already out.
Yeah.
And that's, so that's what I'm getting scared.
Right.
How am I going to keep that out of my life?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I try to avoid sites like that and so on and so forth for that exact same reason. And I get most of my news on all that kind of thing from like mostly podcasts and blogs on Tumblr that I follow, and people that I know are really, really good at, one, curating content, and two, if that content has spoilers. Like, there's a guy named Charlie who runs a YouTube channel called Emergency Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the best sources of all geek news, period, ever, like, end full stop. Because
Emergency Awesome?
Emergency Awesome, yeah.
It's a
He's a
YouTube
super...
channel?
Yeah, YouTube channel. He's a super nerdy guy, and he just loves all of these things. And he's like he'll make a whoever dies in Civil War. I don't know about that, but he'd make a video where the title would be Major Civil War Revelation Spoilers Ahead. So if you didn't want the spoilers, you would, so like he's actually where I get a lot of my geek news, and I watch his YouTube. He makes like 2 YouTube videos a day, and I watch his YouTube videos even about shows that I don't watch, like Arrow and Flash, just because he's awesome, and he talks about the show and how it's relating to past comic book lore in a way that like makes it accessible even for somebody who has never given a crap about Arrow or Flash, So that's what I think the solution is to find curators who you trust not to fuck you in terms of spoilers.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so hard for me because I do like checking out a lot of those sites, but I'll check this guy out. Maybe he'll be sort of a good. And for me, it's like it becomes sort of a rabbit hole. I'm like, ooh, then more details. Like I will go at least every 3 months, at least once every 3 months, and check out on Wikipedia the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
So to see what's kind of the latest, what are the latest changes, what's coming up, what's going to be the order. I will always, you know what I mean, and so I don't know. It's hard for me to do that, but maybe if I can find more people that you can trust, you know what I mean, to to call out the things, that would be great. I'm seeing stuff on his site.
Nerdist is also really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nerdist is great. I will say that as a reality TV watcher as well, it is very hard to, unless you watch the finale at that specific time that it airs. Everyone starts laughing.
We have no sympathy for you. No sympathy.
You mock us about things, and then you say something like that.
All right, Michelle. Let's hear your main topic.
Yes. Okay,
the leg that you're standing on. That's what I picture, and it's just very wobbly. You go ahead.
It's not very wobbly. It's fabulous. These. So
I love that you're wearing those at home when you're chilling at home. I love that.
My life in heels, boo. Let's talk film festivals. I'm very interested in film festivals because it's the time of year and like everyone's in it. Obviously, like we're doing the podcast early because we have films and film festivals. And because like I'm a little new to this whole film thing, a little new, not that new, but I did a little research on film festivals because I understand how they work monetarily, but are my headphones working? Mine are working, right? Okay. Okay. But I understand how they are fabulous moneymakers, but I'm not exactly sure what benefit filmmakers get out of it.
None.
As a whole. So I did a little research, so I've been submitting unsaid through Film Freeway, which is actually Film Freeway. If you don't know about it, is a great way. It just has every film festival, and you can just click and submit to any of them. Now, granted, it's like a shopping cart. So like, here's $40. Here's $89 for like some of them for a short film. Here's like it gets really expensive. So I only submitted to the free ones, which there aren't very many. So first of all, I want to know, why are they so expensive? Why do we do it? How many folks get in? What a percentage of folks that see some return on their investment from investing and putting in things in film festivals? So I did research, and so here are some facts. There are around 3,000 film festivals currently active. Like, i.e., they ran in the past 2 years. 3,000 film festivals.
Wow.
9,706 film festivals have run at least once in the past 15 years.
And are these worldwide or just in the U.S.?
Worldwide. This is worldwide.
Okay.
But 75% of all film festivals were created in the last 10 years, which means like it's huge. Like it is a huge, growing, and I will say business. It is absolutely a business.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
2012 had the lowest number of new festivals launched for 14 years. 39% of film festivals only run once. 39%. So somebody's like, let's make a film festival and make a shit ton of money, and people are like, yeah, and then people go and they're like, oh, that was annoying, it was a lot of work. I remember I went, when I first moved to LA, I went to the LA Horror Fest because I'm a big horror geek. And I got a pass to like see everything. I think I saw like 20-something films in like a weekend. It was ridiculous. Wow. And then the next year I'm like, where's LA Horror Fest? It's not happening. It happened once. 71% of film festivals screen short films and 52% screen features. Half of all film festivals run for less than 7 days. North America has 70% of the world's film festivals.
Wow.
70%. And October is actually the busiest month for film festivals. 5 times as many festivals as December, which is the least busiest month. Anyway, I found like some...
Sorry, go ahead.
Holidays.
Yeah, for sure.
But October, do you think that is, I don't know much about it, but is that when the Academy starts like selecting things around that time of the year, or what? I'm just wondering why October is so big.
That's a good question.
And is it big by a major, how much bigger is it than like the second biggest month, for instance?
Right.
First of all, I just want to say you clearly were reading my mind when you did this, because I was just asking myself a lot of these same questions yesterday. I was like, man, because I'm such a detail freak. I'm like, I want to know about like film festivals. You know what I mean? I'm so glad you gathered this information, because for somebody like me, I'm like, oh, that's good to know. This is all like 70%. That's pretty interesting. I mean, go ahead.
Oh, and I was from submitting, the majority, and I would say like this is not an actual number, but I would say 80% of the film festivals that are free to submit to are not in North America.
Yeah.
So
a lot of them, a lot are overseas, and I mean, one thing, and Film Freeway, like I know a lot of people say it's cheaper than Without a Box. Thing about Without a Box is, as much of a pain in the ass as IMDb is, IMDb owns Without a Box. So if you want to get your stuff on IMDb, you submit through Without a Box once, and everything's on IMDb. Then you don't have to go through all the other shenanigans. So that's why I personally prefer IMDb. But
Without a Box.
Without a Box, yeah. But festivals in general, like, we've talked about it a lot on this show, but just to reiterate, I personally, and I think Garrett agrees, they're primarily a moneymaker for the people who create these things, primarily. And
Except for our festival, I just want to be very clear about that.
Well, our festival is free. Our festival is free. Right. You do not have to pay to submit, but it's only open to community members. It's only a showcase festival for our community members. So that is not a moneymaker for. I mean, yes, ironically, we still make money because of the tickets we sell, but we do not charge people for their submissions.
Right.
$0. So it's not a huge moneymaker. Go ahead.
But I mean, as a film festival, as a filmmaker, I understand that it is a platform to see your film get your film seen, potentially for the larger festivals. Say LA Film Fest, and then someone goes and sees it, and then they decide they like offer you a distribution deal or something like that. But what I don't understand, because I mean, LA Film Festival, as I recall, to submit a short was somewhere around $75 or $80.
Ugh, that's just disgusting.
And which is just ridiculous. And the larger film festivals, the ones that you would be seeing in, like Sundance, South by Southwest, like all of those were like well over $60, $70 to submit a short film.
Well, I mean, some of them, it depends on when you submit them, because I know that some of those higher end ones at least in my experience, have actually been cheaper than some of these. Like, the thing about Film Independent, LA Film Festival, and I am an outspoken, the opposite of fan of Film Independent because of that exact reason. I think that regardless of the reasons that they got into it, they've become a money maker. And even though they're a nonprofit, which is ridiculous to me, they're still raping filmmakers, and it drives me freaking nuts. On the other hand, you see Sundance, and like whatever you can criticize them as much as you want, but if you were to compare Sundance to LA Film Festival, it's like the amount that Sundance actually gives to filmmakers, it's like it doesn't even compare.
Right.
So much.
Okay, you say, like, here's the thing, like you say raping, right? So I feel like raping involves a lack of it involves the filmmaker not being a willing participant. I feel like if you're paying
they misrepresent themselves. I'm not just talking about the film submissions.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the
agree.
stuff that Film Independent does. Like, I have submitted to them on a couple of different occasions, and the response that I got made it pretty clear that no one looked at my thing. And the submissions are expensive. It's like $105 or 100, you know what I mean, to submit to this thing that that HBO is doing, through them and helping them. And it costs that much to do something, and then it gets some intern. Well, the response that they wrote back to me was like, it was really like, it's in the details of the things that you write. It just looked like some intern had checked it out and was like, not into it, and then hadn't passed it up the line, Whereas when you get a turn down letter from Sundance, I'm like, damn, thanks. You know what I mean? Every time I get turned down by Sundance, it's like I really felt like they've, even if they didn't look at my film, they at least spent the time and energy to craft that letter to really make it seem like they did. Right. And I felt like, you know what I mean? And there's a difference. You know what I mean? LA Film Festival acts like they take so much more money and they give you back like a nothing. Response. And Sundance, and you also see all these other things that Sundance and some of these other film places are doing. And I know Robert Redford himself has problems with the way Sundance has gone, but it's like they've fallen from here. You know what I mean? LA Film Festival and Film Independent has fallen from here, and it's, you know what I mean? Like that's all I'm saying is a lot of it depends on just why do they get it? For instance, I actually like the guys who run Dances with Films, and I do think that they do try, and the people who run new filmmakers, they're fantastic. I mean, they set you up with interviews, and I mean, it's like it's really they charge you next to nothing. It's like $25 to submit to new filmmakers, So it just that's what the ratio is. Why are you in this? What are you doing, and what is the benefit for the actual filmmakers? That's how you should really try, in my opinion, try to figure out the film festivals you're going to submit to. And are they in your hometown?
And look at it like the whole Pareto's Law thing. Like you're gonna, if you want to really go the festival route, it's going to take a shit ton of time. What are you going to get out of that? And could that time and resources and energy be spent doing something better? Like, I think if you have a really good short film, you'd do better spending your time crowdfunding another one. And if you've already got like 6 really good short films, I think that the time spent trying to get them into festivals would be better spent crowdfunding like a feature. You know what I mean? And I think that would produce more immediate and more certain results than going festivals. That's just me. Everybody has their own journey in the film industry, obviously, but yeah.
Unless you've already.
Agree. I just think that there are a lot of uneducated filmmakers that are throwing their money at these festivals, thinking that they're going to find this random person that's going to pay for distribution and it's just it's a little sad. I think someone needs to write or create some kind of expose on these
Oh, that's a great idea.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Festivals that are the ones, like, yes, there are some that are legitimate, that are like actually looking to find new filmmakers and find new material, but there are some that I really honestly think are just huge money makers.
Oh yeah. I completely agree with a lot of what Garrett just said. The one sort of exception that I would maybe add to that is if the money you're spending is not actually your own. Like, for instance, I'm working on a project right now where they raised a bunch on Kickstarter, and a bunch was set aside specifically for festivals. And so I know that a lot of the people that gave money live in various different towns, and if it can get into a festival close to them, the money's already set aside to submit it to these festivals. So, I mean, you should do it. I think that especially if people gave you money to do it, you should fulfill their, their wishes.
Yeah. We should move along, gentlemen.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's gone a little late, I believe. So.
As indeed.
Yes. So, you want to dive into this, Mr. Garrett, or should I?
Oh no, go for it.
Okay.
Well, I'll just mention whether you're watching us live on YouTube or listening on the audio feed later. Please go to iTunes and rate the show. Ratings and reviews help other people find us and help grow the audience. It's a big help to us. So if you would pop over and do that, that'd be great. And then Chad, you want to tell them about WMM Fest?
So yeah, so we had our first WMM Fest screening on Thursday. It went really well. It was a packed house. We have 4 screenings left. One is tonight at 6 p.m. and then there's 3 more on the 17th, 24th, and 27th at the 3 clubs in Hollywood. So go to WMMFest.com to see what films are playing and to get, tickets, etc. If you have comps due, don't forget, because you're through Patreon a member or a regular, make sure you send in your comp requests 48 hours, at least 48 hours before the screening occurs, because I'm going to be the one who's going to get that email and process it, and I get backed up. So give me at least 48 hours. Email them to WMMFest@WeMakeMovies.org with the email address and the name of the people, or names if you are a regular and you get 2 people who get your comps. Also, the members and regulars discounts, they have to be bought online. You will not get them face-to-face. So check out that email. The email went out on May 21st. If you're like one of the few 5 or 6 people that signed up for the first time in June, you've gotten them in the last just couple days or so. So check out the discount codes there. And if you have any other questions, email me, chad@wemakemovies.org, or email WMMFest@wemakemovies.org, and we'll answer your questions.
Awesome.
And
we end by first letting you know that We Make Movies is, so far as we know, the only filmmaking community in the world that is completely supported by its community, and we do that through Patreon.com. Patreon is a voluntary subscription service where you can contribute to artists who are making things that you think are awesome. And if with just a tiny percentage of the community funding the activities of the whole community, it allows us to do a whole crap ton of stuff that is free for the rest. So it's pretty awesome. Go check it out at patreon.com/WeMakeMovies.
You say it so effortlessly now. It's awesome.
Patreon? Yeah, well, it's now I say it at the end of each of my YouTube videos, and I was like, I better start saying it the way that everybody expects it to be said. So yeah, please go check it out, patreon.com/WeMakeMovies, and then we will end with things to know. So in that event that Chad talked about on Thursday, we screened Unsaid, which is the film that we all made last year. It was really fantastic. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who came out. And if there is one festival that's worth there is one festival out there that is definitely without question worth going to, and it's ours. I can only imagine what it's going to look like in a few years when we're renting out like big ass fucking theaters and like the whole deal. But even just right now, small and like really heartfelt and everything that it is. It's just it was a really, really good fun time. So yeah, thank you to everybody who put that together.
True that. Indie Flicks, Tuesday morning, my short film is still trending on Indie Flicks. It's that indie filmmaker site. I'll include a link to sign up for either a $5 monthly membership or a $50 annual membership. You can't watch anything on it unless you are a member, and it is a great site. I think you actually can have you can get like a 1-month free trial. So you feel free to do that. It's a great site. It was created by indie filmmakers, and it supports indie filmmakers. So if you are listening to this podcast, I have a feeling it is a subject you are interested in. So go check that out. Also, Hollywood Fringe is a lot of fun, and it just kicked into gear this past week. So for the next 2 weeks, go into Hollywood if you are here in Los Angeles, and just go start to see some plays. If you go down to Hollywood to Fringe Central, which is at the Dragonfly down there on Santa Monica Boulevard in Hollywood. It's not the entire Dragonfly. I think it's part of it. I actually haven't gone yet because I just got back from Hawaii a few days ago. So I'm definitely going to go sometime very soon. You can go and hang out and then just ask people what are the good shows to see. But also go to our WeMakeMovies.org/calendar and see what a lot of the We Make Movies, what some of our community members are in, some of the plays that they're in, and check that out. A lot of fun. Definitely check out Hollywood Fringe. HollywoodFringe.org, by the way. HollywoodFringe.org.
Michelle?
Ooh, he put on his sexy voice for that. I have two things to know. First thing to know is I write a little blog for our website, remakemovies.org. It's called it's for actors. I think it's Fabulosity Fridays. Anyway, so I maybe just had an extra 60D laying around, and I have started making my blog a vlog. So coming up week after next, on Friday, you will be getting some vlogs on acting tips and things to know that I've learned or not learned or learned the hard way. And I'm usually sometimes weird and maybe sometimes funny. So check it out. A. B. Second thing to know, speaking of weird and funny. Okay. I was cruising the Netflix the other night, and I found this film called Zombievers, and I downloaded it and watched it, and it is amazing.
Is it?
It's ridiculous and
amazing. Did you say Netflix? It's on Netflix?
It is on Netflix. It is called Zombievers. It is the worst, most amazing G horror movie. I would call it a G horror movie. Like, there's these beavers and they're like puppets and they like don't really move, but like it's like the worst effects. It's awesome, and it's directed by this comedian, Bill somebody, I forget what his name is, and it's ridiculously fun, and it's starting to, apparently I have spoken to 3 or 4 people since I watched it, and it does have a twist ending, by the way. I've spoken to 3 or 4 people, and it's becoming kind of like a little cult classic thing. Yeah, it made like $8,000 in its opening weekend, and
how much?
$8,000.
That's hilarious.
But it was like a $2 million film. It's like shot in the woods, and it's a bunch of teenagers, and like one of them takes her top off for like a good 45 minutes, and then there's like these beavers that like are trying to crawl and like eat them, and they all turn into. It's awesome.
I'll include a link to the trailer in our. You might as well, right?
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love a good B movie. So yeah.
Pretty fantastic. Awesome. Check it out, Zombievers. And with that, we come to the end of this episode of the We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast. Thank you so much,
Bill Burr,
and listening, whether you watched on YouTube or on the audio feed afterward. I'm Garrett Robinson. You can find me at garrettbrobinson.com. Chad is at superfrico.com, and you can find Michelle on Twitter at mlucadoo. We'll see you next week, everybody. Goodbye.